The marvels of engineering and technology have created a world that never sleeps. It's now possible to shop, to transport goods and information, and to be entertained around the clock. But such infinite possibilities are also creating a society that's unfit for the human race. That's the gist of a new book called The 24-Hour Society. Its author, Dr. Martin Moore-Ede, argues that people are biologically geared to sleep at night, and there are tremendous costs to be paid if we underestimate that basic fact. Dr. Moore-Ede is the world's top authority on human fatigue. He talked about his theories with Christina recently.
Dr. Moore-Ede, you argue in your book, The 24-Hour Society, that high tech is essentially building a global village which is unfit for human beings to live in. What do you mean by that?
Well, we've gone ahead with our technology, and we've got to the point where we can operate everything 24 hours a day. We find businesses operating with email, fax, computers, satellite telecommunications. We find plants open non-stop around the clock, and we find all the support facilities, supermarkets, drugstores, everything else running around the clock. But that is creating a world for which our bodies weren't designed. I mean, we were designed to sleep in our beds at night and be awake during the daytime. And we're now pushing people beyond their state of tolerance and ability to cope.
You make it sound like it's really serious, pushing people past their state of tolerance. How do you know that?
Well, in fact, if you start to look at the major industrial accidents of our time, I mean, you look at Chernobyl, you look at 3 Mile Island, Bhopal, Exxon Valdez incident, all of those occurred in the wee hours of the morning, and all of them were caused by fatigue due to human error caused by fatigue. Go and look at Space Shuttle Challenger accident. You know, yes, a gasket blew in the rocket engine and the rocket exploded, but the ultimate reason it exploded is because a group of NASA engineers made a bad decision to fly the craft based on 2 hours sleep the night before, up for 20 hours straight, pushing deadlines, dangerously fatigued. It's that sort of thing happening over and over again that's what we've got into in this 24-hour society.
But those are pretty, dramatic examples. How does that translate into everyday life with people working, and what toll does it take on them and perhaps their productivity?
Well, let me just relate it right back to anybody who's had a new baby in their household in the last year or so, or a few years. And recognizing that constant state of fatigue, that you're walking in your zombie state, the child's getting you awake all night, that is the state of fatigue that your surgeon's in, that your airline pilot's in, that your air traffic controller is in, that all sorts of people, the trucker coming up behind you on the freeway are in. And as a result, all sorts of errors and accidents occurring in everyday life on the freeways. It's the most common cause of fatal accidents on the freeways. Not drunk driving, but people falling asleep behind the wheel.
Okay, so what can be done? I mean, we've got this society where we've set it up for 24 hours a day. We want, information, facts, all kinds of services. How do you fit that in with the fact that human beings were built biologically to be sleeping at night?
Well, you're quite right. We're never going back to the horse and buggy days. We're always going to be operating this 24-hour society, so we need to learn to live in it, and we need to learn to operate it. It's very different from a 9-to-5 world. One of the key problems is the managers who make decisions, the engineers who build the equipment, typically work 9 to 5, and they do not understand how to run a business 24 hours a day. It's a very different business from a 9-to-5 business. For example, we build dark cockpits that people work in, whether it's in the cockpit of a plane or a nuclear power plant control room or an air traffic control station. People sit in the dark watching a computer screen in the middle of the night with a boring, monotonous program, and then we wonder, why do they fall asleep at the controls? And fall asleep they do. So we're setting people up, and it's because we haven't learned how to schedule people, we haven't learned how to train them, we haven't built equipment that really is designed to keep people awake in the wee hours of the morning, just as we expect them to be awake during the daytime as well.
But you're basically saying it's doable if we're aware of the fact of what's needed to keep people awake and take that into consideration.
It's absolutely doable, and we've now done it and worked in over 200 companies nationwide and across the world, in Europe and Japan too. In that situation, we've been able to show up to 10 or 15% improvement in productivity, dramatic reduction in healthcare costs and risk, reduction in legal liability. It's all because human error and human fatigue has really become the problem of our age. We are pushing people beyond their limits. We have a world that's designed to run 24 hours a day for the machines. We've really got to catch up and start putting people first.
Dr. Moore-Ede, thanks very much.
Thank you.